All right, so it must be relaxed one. All right. Hey, SEO dudes, I was thinking about adding a domain name to one of my cloud stacks and linking the pages using both URLs. Internally and off page back and forth. Am I just thinking stupidity, or would there be some benefit? I'm not sure I understand that. Unless you mean like a custom domain for a cloud hosted page, which you can do with a CNAME. A CNAME record using DNS, you can do that. And both. So that's kind of the way that I do what I call rebuilds for semantic links, is because we use custom domains, but they're cloud storage hosted. Well, not necessarily, not always, because I use combination of Amazon S3 and Rackspace, as well as various cloud VPSs like DigitalOcean, Linode, I think it's called. I don't know. There's several of them that we use. Anyway, Vultr is the other one I was thinking of. Vultr, Linode, DigitalOcean. We use VPSs there, but then we also use Rackspace and Amazon S3. And when we upload the HTML files, or when we add the site, we get a CNAME record that then we add to our domain registrar or Cloudflare, depending on whether we need HTTPS or not. So SSL. And so, yeah, you can do that. But the important thing then is that you want, because the cloud storage bucket URL, the site will resolve on that. The cloud page will resolve on the bucket URL, which is how most people are building now because of things like Yaks, right? They just publish an HTML page to the cloud storage bucket container that they've set up and everything else, and that's it. You can do a custom domain as well. But what's important is that you want to have, whatever you decide to do, you need to set a canonical for that. Like, so do you want the canonical to point to the cloud storage bucket URL, or do you want it to point to the custom domain? I would recommend that you have if you're going to use a custom domain, that you have the canonical point to the custom domain. So the custom domain is getting the benefit. That said, you know, the reason why we use custom domains for cloud hosted HTML pages, and I don't just mean cloud pages like what we can build with Yaks. It's a good opportunity to drop the Yaks link, by the way. But because, you know, there's two reasons why we do cloud pages, right, guys? There's cloud pages on the cloud storage bucket, in the cloud storage buckets, whether it's Google Cloud Storage or Amazon S3, or, you know, any one of those, period, because those have high traditional metrics right out of the gate. And I'm using air quotes because I don't really care a whole lot about traditional metrics, but that's like UR and DR, so Ahrefs metrics, or page authority and domain authority, so Moz metrics. Those instantly kind of have high metrics because they're in high authority domains, or their containers built in high authority domains such as Amazon or Google Cloud Storage, et cetera, Microsoft Azure, et cetera, right? So there's a reason to use those. But why I use custom domains is because I don't really care so much about those those traditional metrics. What I care about is topical relevance. And so I use Majestic because Majestic is the only backlink analysis tool that has a measure of topical relevance for external backlinks. And it's not perfect, but it is a fairly accurate. It's a fairly good indicator of what the topical relevance is. And if you've ever taken a look at Google's NLP categories, so natural language processor categories, they are very closely aligned to Majestic's topical trust flow categories. They're not exact, but they're very closely aligned. And so I do all of my link building based on Majestic metrics. Guys, just to be clear, Majestic is a third party. They have their own proprietary metrics and algorithm too, that Google doesn't give a shit about Majestic metrics either. It really doesn't. But why I use Majestic is because of the topical trust flow, which is a fairly good indication of what the topical relevance is of backlink profiles. Okay, so all of that is to say, there are reasons to do both HTML pages on cloud storage buckets or cloud hosting and using custom domains. I prefer custom domains because I focus mostly on topical relevance, not traditional metrics. So I do use cloud pages. I don't do cloud stacks. What I call a cloud stack is a cloud page, so hosted on a cloud storage bucket, any one of the providers, but then I do semantic links, so topically relevant links to those pages. That's what I call a cloud stack. I don't do other cloud pages to the original cloud page. which is what, most people do for cloud stacking. I don't do that. I do single cloud pages and then semantic links to those pages. That's what I call a cloud stack, a semantic cloud stack, if you will. So what I'm saying is you can do both. You can have, so I can, when I use a custom domain for what I call a rebuild, then I have two versions of that site. Essentially, that I can access that HTML page in two locations, either through the custom domain or through the bucket URL. Either one, I can access it. But the HTML file has a canonical in it that canonicalizes to the homepage or the custom domain. So all of the credit gets pushed to that, if that makes sense. Those traditional metrics don't pass, so you don't get the Ahrefs URDR rating or the Moz's PADA ratings. You don't get those. You just get whatever you would. Those metrics would be whatever the domain metrics were, if that makes sense. So I do both. I do the vast majority of everything I do is on custom domains, but I do still use cloud pages as external, link sources. But then, like I said, I always build semantic links to those. That's the way that I do cloud stacks, because again, for me, it's all about topical relevance. So yes, you can do. I'm not sure about what you mean by linking back and forth, because again, the HTML it's the same file. It's just accessible in two locations, right? The cloud storage bucket, a URL, and then the custom domain, if you're going to do a custom domain. But you should canonicalize it to one or the other to make that one the priority, which again, for me, is typically going to be the custom domain. So I don't know if that was clear or not, but that's the best explanation I can give.